Okay, so you want to brew beer. This is a kit that I picked up. It's called Hurricane Hop IPA. It's going to be a mini mash. I'm not going to go into all grain or anything like that. But what you get with the kit is grains that you'll normally already have crushed, some liquid malt extract. You could possibly get dry malt extract, 6 and 1/2 dozen others, doesn't really matter. You'll get the hops that you'll need. These right here are hops in pellet format, and then yeast. Yeast will either come in liquid, which is what this is right here, or in dry packets. If you have it in a dry packet, you'll have to rehydrate the yeast before actually using it. So that's what comes in the kit when you get a kit, something along those lines right there of all that. In case you're wondering, the place that I bought it from is Homebrew USA. They do have a website, and I think this kit was with tax and everything right around $41. So it's not really that much. This will make 5 gallons. And the way that I plan on doing it is I'll boil 2.5 gallons, and then we'll add 2.5 gallons of water after the boil and everything. So let's go over some gear that you're going to need. We'll start off with coming from the ingredients right here, your grains, which are in a plastic bag right there. You're going to have to transfer them into some other type of bag, and you'll want to do that for being able to maintain the grains, because you'll steep them for about 30 minutes. You'll steep them like a tea in about 150 degree temperature water. And what I use for steeping is this right here, which is nothing more than a paint strainer bag. It's a 1 gallon paint strainer bag that you can get at Home Depot, Lowe's, something like that. It's reusable. I've used this one 10 times or so far. It's a pretty fine mesh, so it allows the water to go through it and everything to get to the grains to be able to extract the flavors and the sugars. You also, since you're going to be adding the hops to the boil and everything, you'll need something to be able to contain the hops, because as you can see, some of the pellets are really pelletized and some are kind of pulverized, and you'll want to be able to keep and maintain as much of the hops out of the beer after you're finished with the boiling. It's a little unconventional, but this right here, it's nothing more than a knee-high stocking. As you can tell, it's it hasn't been worn. I don't recommend you use one that's been worn. It might impart some other flavors that you may not want. So those things. So coming from there, we're going to come over here and we're going to look at this over here. What I have right here is my burner that I used. You could use the stove inside, or you could use a burner, a turkey fryer burner. This one right here is a Bayou Classics SP10, I believe. I think it puts out 180 or 200 BTUs, 200,000 BTUs. So it's a pretty powerful burner. And you just hook that up to a regular propane tank. I have 2 different pots here. The one on the right is a 16 quart. The one on the left is, I think, 32 quarts. It's just a matter of whether I wanted to do a 2.5 gallon boil or a 5 gallon boil. If I do a 2.5 gallon boil like I'm going to do today, and which is what I use most of the time, it'd be the one on the right. It'll hold about, well, it's 4 gallons, so it'll hold plenty of water and everything that needs to go in there, and it'll have room to spare. Some other things that I have right on here, I already have hooked to the kettle, boil kettle, is my thermometer, which is on the left right there. And you can see how the probe goes down into the kettle pretty deep. You're going to want to make sure that it doesn't go in deep enough so you're actually getting a temperature of the water that's in there. And the other thing I have right there is just a clamp. I like to have a little clamp right there because I clamp the grain bag to it, so I don't have to tie the grain bag into a knot. I also clamp the hops, the stocking, to it when I use it, so that I don't have to tie it into a knot either. That way it's a little easier, a little less messy for me having to play with hot liquids, because hot liquids do burn. And the way you would start this off here is that you go to put 2.5 gallons of water in your pot, bring it up to temperature about 150 degrees. Then you would add the grains to it, maintaining about 150 degrees for about 30 minutes. After 30 minutes is up, you pull the grains out. I go ahead and I squeeze all the liquid out of the grains. Some people say don't do that. Some people say it doesn't matter. I've never had any issues with it. You remove it from the heat, and then you add the malt extract, which is very syrupy. Very syrupy, very sticky and everything like that. So if you can warm this up by putting it into just warm liquid while it's closed and everything, obviously, and just kind of warm it up a little bit, you can do that. It'll loosen it up a little bit. After you finish your boil and everything, what you'll need to do is then transfer it to your fermenter, which in this case right here, my fermenter is 6.5 gallon carboys, glass carboys. I prefer using glass over buckets. Buckets, you can scratch them pretty easily, and they're harder to clean and make sure you have all the bacteria out of them, because you want to make sure they're clean and there's no bacteria or anything. Obviously, you'll need a funnel of some sort to be able to get it from your boil kettle, which is not pour easy, into the small neck of your carboy, so use a funnel. Now before you put it into the carboy, you do have to cool the wort down. And when I cool the wort down, I use this big plastic tub right here, and I put my boil kettle in it. Literally just put it in here. But that's after I put about 15 pounds, which is a bag and a half, of ice in the bottom of the big blue bin. After I get the boil kettle on top of that 15 pounds of ice, I go ahead and I put ice around the sides, the rest of the ice, which is another 15 pounds. After I have it in there, I pretty much just spin. It's not going to do it right now because I don't have anything in here. But I just spin the bucket, the boil kettle around, kind of like just making a whirlpool. It cools it off pretty quick. So that's pretty much all the gear right there. There's some other software gear and everything that you need for cleaning. Cleaning is very important. Since you're going to be fermenting in your carboy right here, anything that's going to touch the wort after it's been finished boiling has to be sanitized. For me to sanitize things, what I use is this right here, which is nothing more than a window box planter. I put some water in it, and I put my sanitizing solution, either Star Sand or Iodophor. This is an iodine-based sanitizer. I use one of the two. It doesn't really matter which one. Both of them are no rinse. But I put my water inside my planter here, and I put the sanitizer in it. Then I want to sanitize all the things that are going to touch the wort when I'm finished. I have a stopper here for the top of the carboy. This one does not have a hole in it. That'll come into play later. Right after I put it in there, I do want to shake the carboy to mix up all the wort and everything, to get it to aerate, to get oxygen introduced into it, which is the only time you want to put oxygen to it. So I put this on there so that I can control the amount of, so I don't have wort flying all over the place. I have this stopper here, which does have a hole in it, which goes in and then allows me to have my airlock, which is one that looks like this right here, or a 3-piece one like this. You can see there's a piece on the inside, making it the 3 pieces. Both of these you fill up with a little bit of water so that it allows CO2 or air to escape from the carboy as the yeast is doing its job, but it doesn't allow anything back in. Because the extract is very syrupy and very sticky and everything, I use a spatula like this to be able to, just scoop around the inside of the bucket that it comes in, or the can that it comes in, and to make sure I get all of the extract out. Also for stirring the wort while it's boiling and things of that nature. I use a set of tongs right here. They're not sharp or anything. They don't have the real jagged edges. For anything that I have to pick up out of the boiling water. There again, I prefer to use this rather than my hands. To transfer the liquids, at some point when you are fermenting, I let it normally ferment for about a week in primary, and then I'll transfer it to another carboy, and which is called secondary. And for me to transfer it from one carboy to another carboy, I use what's called an autosiphon. An autosiphon. Pretty much, you put this end in the liquid, put this end up here, and you pump. It's kind of hard to do with one hand. You just pump it, and when you pump it, it'll actually start your siphoning process. And then, of course, you'll need tubing, and the tubing goes onto your autosiphon so that you go from your primary through the tubing into your secondary. That's for sanitation. For cleaning, just things that you need to clean before sanitizing, I use, well, an OxyClean stuff. I mean, you pick your poison. But yeah, OxyClean works really good. It cleans everything really good. And then for the inside of the carboy, a carboy brush. This right here goes down into the carboy and allows you to clean the top part of it and also down at the bottom of it. Some hardware that you'll need for science stuff, for testing and everything. I have a refractometer right here. And using a refractometer allows me to get the specific gravity of the wort before fermentation happens. That gives me my original gravity, which tells me how much sugar is in there, how much is fermentable, so that I can figure out at the end how much alcohol is in there. The second part of that is in this tube right here. The hydrometer. And it goes into a hydrometer vase thing like this right here. You'll end up, when you want to get ready to bottle it or to keg your beer after fermentation, you'll fill it up until your hydrometer starts to float. Then you'll read your specific gravity on it, and then from having your final gravity compared to your original gravity, you can figure out your amount of alcohol. Now, a good thing with the kits, and like I said, this is just one of them right here, one of the things, one of the instruction sheets. It shows you on here what your original gravity should be, and it also gives you your final alcohol, which this one right here is 6.5%. It also has your IBUs, which is a International Bittering Unit, I believe is what it's called, and that's for how bitter the beer is going to taste. An IPA should be pretty bitter, so it's a pretty high number, being 83. And then your color, which is 9 for your SRM, that means that it's going to be well, an amberish color. Of course, you can go online and you can look those things up and you can figure out all those things. Now, when you're fermenting your beer, when it's in primary and secondary, you're going to want to be able to have it in a temperature-controlled place. What some people do is they'll just go ahead and in something like that big blue bucket over there, they'll put some water in it and take your carboy, put it inside of that, and then wrap a towel around it where the bottom part of the towel's in the water. And during the summertime, that works great because the towel will wick the water up and the evaporation will keep the beer, keep the wort cool while fermentation's happening so it doesn't get too hot. During the winter time, you may need to just wrap it in a towel with no water and maybe put a heating pad on wrapped around it also with like a bungee cord or something so that it stays warm enough. And that's everything for that. I'm not going to get into bottling or kegging because that's a completely different monster. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.